Most of us were taught directly or indirectly that our mind is in charge. If we think clearly enough, if we pray hard enough, if we read the right books or say the right affirmations, then our feelings will just simply fall into line. And that idea sounds empowering, but it can quietly turn cruel when it doesn't work. You can end up feeling like you're doing life wrong. You can start believing you're too sensitive, too anxious, too broken, or not spiritual enough. And then you do what many sincere people do. You try harder, you push more, you tighten your grip, you demand a breakthrough. But the truth is simpler and perhaps even kinder than that. A large part of what you can think, feel, and believe in any moment is limited by something much older than your thinking mind. It's limited by your body's sense of safety. Your body's not being dramatic when it feels stressed. It's not being negative when it anticipates trouble. It's not failing when it cannot relax on command. Your body's doing what bodies have always done, scanning the environment inside and out for signs of danger or safety. It does it all day, every day, even when you're asleep. It's done this before you have a chance to form a thought about it. This is why you can tell yourself everything is fine while your stomach stays tight. This is why you can understand logically that you're safe, but your chest still feels like it's bracing for impact. This is why you can be loved, supported, and materially okay and still feel like you can't breathe. Your mind may be convinced, but your body is not. And when the body isn't convinced, the mind starts losing access to the best tools. This is not philosophy, it's actually human biology. Stephen Porges explains in his work on polyvagal theory that the nervous system makes quick, automatic judgments about safety and threat, often without conscious awareness. In plain language, your body has an internal radar that decides whether life feels safe enough to relax into or dangerous enough to brace against. Porges calls this process neuroception, which is the nervous system's ability to detect risk and safety without you having to think about it. You don't choose neuroception, it happens. It's a protective system designed to keep you alive. And here's where the shift begins. If your body's in survival mode, your mind cannot simply override it with a better idea. You can try, you can even get bursts of control, but the deeper pattern remains because the body's priority is not your happiness, it's your survival. So when you say, I'm trying to trust, but you still feel afraid, that does not automatically mean you lack faith. It can mean your nervous system is still reading your world as unsafe. When you say, I want to be hopeful, but hope feels impossible, that does not automatically mean you are weak. It can mean your system has been running too hot for too long. When you say, I know I'm loved, but you cannot feel it, that does not automatically mean something is wrong with you. It can mean your body's armored, and armor is numb by design. So this is an invitation to stop arguing with yourself. It's an invitation to understand what is happening at a deeper level, and then to respond in a way that actually works. Not by forcing positivity, not by shaming your fear, not by pretending the world is safer than it is, but by learning how to create enough internal safety that your mind can become spacious again and your spirit can be felt again. Because the body doesn't just carry stress, the body also carries the doorway back to peace. If you've ever had a day where you feel like you're not yourself, you've already experienced what nervous system state can do. And some days you wake up and your mind feels clear. You can prioritize, communicate, make decisions, stay patient, and bounce back from small frustrations. On other days, the same life feels unmanageable. The smallest inconvenience feels personal. You forget words, you misread people's tone, you want to hide or lash out, you feel tired but wired. You want relief but nothing satisfies. It is tempting to believe those swings are purely psychological, like you're just in a mood. But moods often have a body underneath them. They're not floating in space. They're shaped by your nervous system's settings. In very simple terms, your nervous system can run in a few basic modes. When it senses safety, your system supports connection, digestion, learning, and creativity. Your face softens, your voice gets warmer, your breathing deepens, you can listen, empathize, and think clearly. You can be present. When your nervous system senses danger, it shifts into protection. Protection can look like fight, where you feel irritable, reactive, defensive, or even controlling. Protection can look like flight, where you feel anxious, restless, overbusy, and unable to settle. Protection can look like freeze, where you feel stuck, numb, foggy, and unable to move forward. Protection can also look like shutdown, where you feel detached, exhausted, and emotionally far away, even from people you love. Those are not character flaws. These are survival strategies. They are the body's ancient ways of helping you manage threat. This is why just calm down rarely helps. If your body is in fight or flight, calm can feel impossible or even unsafe. If your body's in freeze, motivation can feel unreachable. If your body's in shutdown, even joy can feel like too much. You may not feel capable of believing good things because your system is not currently built for good things. It's built for survival. This also explains why it can be hard to make changes you truly want. You can know what to do and still not do it. You can want to eat differently, sleep differently, exercise differently, speak differently, pray differently, and still get pulled back into old habits. Habits are not just choices. Habits are often regulation strategies. They are ways the nervous system tries to manage stress. Some people regulate by staying busy. Some regulate by controlling the environment. Some regulate by pleasing others. Some regulate by numbing out with food, alcohol, scrolling, shopping, pornography, work, or drama. Some regulate by becoming intensely spiritual, not because spirituality is wrong, but because intensity can become another form of control. When the body is scared, it reaches for something that feels like stability. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me, it can be more helpful to ask, what is my nervous system trying to do for me? That question changes everything. It moves from shame to curiosity. It moves from self-attack to self-understanding. It gives you a place to begin. This is also where gentle science and gentle spirituality meet. The body is not separate from the spirit. The body is one of the places spirit lives. Your breath, your heartbeat, your ability to settle, your ability to connect, your ability to feel warmth and meaning. These are not distractions from your spiritual path. They're part of it. When your nervous system is supported, your mind becomes flexible. You can hold complexity. You can make room for uncertainty without panic. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can feel anger without becoming it. You can face hard truth without collapsing. You can become more resilient, not because life got easier, but because you became steadier. And steadiness is a form of strength that does not require you to harden. Belief is not only an idea, belief is also a state. This is one of the most important truths for anyone who has ever tried to think their way into peace. The mind can be convinced by logic, but the body is convinced by experience. And the body's experience is shaped by nervous system state. You can see this clearly if you think about how you relate to the future when you're calm versus when you're overwhelmed. When you're regulated, the future feels like something you can handle. You might still have concerns, but you also have perspective. You can say, we'll figure it out. You can imagine solutions. You can remember times you survived before. You can trust your own capacity. When you are dysregulated, the future feels like a threat. Your mind starts predicting disaster. You might catastrophize. You might lose confidence. You might feel like everything is urgent. You might become rigid because rigidity can feel like control, and control can feel like safety. You might become pessimistic because expecting the worst can feel like protection against disappointment. In both cases, you're looking at the same life, but you're looking through different nervous systems. This is why two people can sit in the same room, hear the same message, and walk away with opposite beliefs. One feels comforted, the other feels suspicious. One feels inspired, the other feels judged. One feels strengthened, the other feels defeated. The difference is not always intelligence or willpower. Often the difference is regulation. Dan Siegel, in his books on the mind and the body, emphasizes integration, which is a fancy word for parts working together in a healthy way. When you are integrated, your thinking brain, your feeling brain, and your body systems cooperate. When you're stressed, integration breaks down. You can feel hijacked. You can feel like you're watching yourself react, and you cannot stop it. That's not a moral failure, that's biology under pressure. Lisa Feldman Barrett in How Emotions Are Made describes emotions as the brain's best guess about what is happening in the world and what the body needs to do about it. In other words, emotions are not random storms. They are meaning-making. They're predictions. They're guidance systems. But when your body is depleted, your brain's predictions can become more threat-focused. You can start seeing danger everywhere, even where there is none. Not because you're irrational, because your system is trying to prevent harm. And this is where many people unknowingly become unkind to themselves. They see their fear, anxiety, or numbness as a personal failure. They assume it means they are not growing. They assume it means they're not spiritual. They assume it means they are not doing the work. But what if your nervous system is simply asking for support? What if you cannot believe good things right now because your body does not feel safe enough to relax into them? The question alone can release a lot of shame. It also explains why faith can feel so different across seasons of life. There are times when prayer feels alive, like you're held. There are times when prayer feels like words bouncing off the ceiling. There are times when scripture feels like nourishment. There are times when it feels like pressure. There are times when spiritual practice opens you. There are times when it feels like you're forcing yourself to perform. Sometimes this change has to do with circumstances. Sometimes it has to do with grief. Sometimes it has to do with trauma. Sometimes it has to do with burnout. Sometimes it has to do with living in a world that keeps demanding more, faster, louder, and longer than the human system was designed to tolerate. But here's the compassionate truth. Spiritual dryness is not always a spiritual problem. Sometimes it is a nervous system problem. A nervous system in survival mode cannot easily access tenderness. It cannot easily access awe. It cannot easily access trust. Those states require enough internal safety to soften, and softening for a system trained by stress can feel dangerous. So the work is not to force belief. The work is to create the conditions where belief can grow again. Just as a seed needs soil, water, warmth, and time, belief needs safety, steadiness, gentleness, and repetition. This is why practices that regulate the nervous system are not self-help extras, they are spiritual foundations. They're ways of preparing the inner ground. They're ways of saying without words, I am safe enough right now to be here. And when you can be here, you can begin to remember what you already knew. If your nervous system has been on high alert for a long time, the idea of feeling safe might sound unrealistic. You might think, my life is not safe. The world is not safe. My finances are not safe. My relationships are not safe. My health is not safe. My country is not safe. Or you might feel safer in some areas, but still not safe inside your own body. So let's be clear. Safety does not mean nothing bad can happen. Safety does not mean the world becomes gentle. Safety does not mean you never feel fear. Safety means something more reachable. Your nervous system begins to sense that in this moment, you are not in immediate danger. That is a smaller target and it matters. The nervous system does not require perfect conditions to regulate. It requires signals. It requires cues. It requires moments of evidence, and those moments can be tiny. One of the simplest signals is the exhale. A long, slow exhale can tell the body, we're not running, we're not fighting, we're not trapped. You don't have to breathe in a special way. You do not have to count perfectly. The main shift is lengthening the out-breath just a bit. When you do this gently, you're speaking the body's language. Another signal is the jaw. Many people clench without realizing it. The soft jaw can send a message of safety up through the face and down through the neck. The same is true for the shoulders and hands. If you open your hands even slightly, you're practicing a posture of not bracing. Your body learns through posture. It learns through shape. Another signal is orientation. This is a simple practice taught in many trauma-informed approaches. Slowly look around the room and notice what is here. A chair, a window, a door, a lamp, a picture. The point is not to describe everything. The point is to let your eyes and brain take in evidence that you are here, in this space now. If you're reading these words, chances are you're not being chased. You're not being physically attacked. You may have stressors, but you're not in immediate physical danger. When you let your system register that truth, you can help it out of emergency mode. Another signal is sound. A steady, comforting voice, gentle music, humming, even soft chanting can regulate the system. This is part of why spiritual traditions across cultures use song, prayer, and repetition. It is not only symbolic, it is physiological. Your body responds to rhythm and tone. It responds to the felt sense of being accompanied. Another signal is connection. For many people, nervous system safety increases when they feel seen by someone safe. A kind text, a warm hug, a simple, "I'm here." These are not small things to the body. They are powerful cues. The nervous system evolved in relationship. It still heals in relationship. And when relationship is complicated, there are other forms of connection. Connection can be with nature. It can be with a pet. It can be with a familiar practice. It can be with the steady presence of a candle. It can be with a trusted prayer said the same way every day. It can be with an inner sense of the divine that is less like a judge and more like a compassionate witness. If you come from a faith tradition where God has been framed as disappointed, demanding, or easily angered, your nervous system may have learned to associate spirituality with pressure. In that case, the path back might require relearning God as safety, not as threat. That does not have to be a dramatic theological debate. It can be a gentle shift in how you approach the sacred. Instead of performing, you begin to rest. Instead of striving, you begin to soften. Instead of negotiating, you begin to be honest. You might say, "I want to trust, but I'm scared." That is already prayer. You might say, "I want to feel close, but I feel numb." That is already prayer. You might say, "I don't have the strength to be strong today." That is already prayer. The spiritual life was never meant to be a constant emotional high. It was meant to be a steady returning, a returning to breath, to presence, to truth, to love. And returning is a nervous system practice as much as it is a spiritual practice. This is also where compassion becomes practical. Compassion is not always a feeling. Compassion is a way of relating to your own internal experience without violence. When you stop attacking yourself for being dysregulated, you remove one of the biggest threats your nervous system faces: inner conflict. Inner conflict is exhausting. It is like fighting a war on two fronts. But when you say, "Of course I feel this way," your system is trying to protect me. You create a small pocket of safety inside yourself. That pocket grows. And as it grows, something starts to change. You begin to have more space between trigger and reaction. Begin to have more choice. You begin to feel more like yourself. Not because you forced yourself into a new personality, because you supported your system back into balance. Then the mind follows. Then belief becomes possible again. Then hope becomes less like a lie and more like a quiet strength. Then faith becomes less like a performance and more like a resting place. In a world that feels loud and unpredictable, staying regulated can feel like a luxury. But it's not a luxury. It's a form of leadership. It's a form of integrity. It's one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and the people around you. When your nervous system is calm, you do not become passive. You become clear. You do not become indifferent. You become steadier. You do not stop caring. You start caring in a way that can actually sustain itself. This matters because many people confuse reactivity with righteousness. They assume that if you are not intensely upset, they're not paying attention. They assume that if they feel calm, they're ignoring suffering. But calm is not denial. Calm is the ground that lets you respond rather than react. A dysregulated nervous system is easy to manipulate. Fear makes people impulsive. Fear makes people tribal. Fear makes people desperate for certainty. Fear makes people cling to leaders, ideologies, and quick fixes that promise safety but often create harm. This is not only personal, it's cultural, and it's also political and spiritual. When a whole community is dysregulated, it becomes easier to divide, control, and exploit. So tending your nervous system is not selfish. It is resistance to manipulation. It's a refusal to be owned by fear. It's a way of keeping your humanity intact. This is why many spiritual traditions emphasize peace, stillness, and watchfulness, not because they wanted people to detach from life, but because they understood that the heart cannot see clearly when it's panicking. The mind cannot love well when it's braced. The soul cannot speak when everything inside is screaming. You could even say that regulation is a kind of inner cleanliness, not the cleanliness of moral perfection, but the cleanliness of clarity, a cleared lens, a settled lake, a spacious room. When you're regulated, you can hold paradox. You can say, this is hard, and I will say, survive. You can say, I'm grieving, and I'm still here. You can say, the world is frightening, and I will not give my whole mind to terror. You can say, I do not know what happens next, and I can still breathe right now. You can say, I am angry, and I will not become cruel. You can say, I'm afraid, and I will not abandon myself. That kind of inner steadiness is not naive. It's earned, it's built, it's practiced. And in a spiritual sense, it's a way of becoming trustworthy to your own life. Because the deepest problem with dysregulation is not discomfort. The deepest problem is disconnection. When your nervous system is overwhelmed, you disconnect from your body, from other people, from the present moment, and often from the sense of the divine. You may still believe in God as an idea, but you cannot feel God as presence. You may still believe in love as a value, but you cannot access love as experience. You may still believe in the future as a concept, but you cannot imagine it without fear. So the return to safety is a return to connection. It's a return to us. It's a return to the part of you that can breathe, feel, and receive. And this is where this becomes not only a warning, but an invitation. Yes, your body decides your mind can believe, but that does not mean you are trapped. It means you have a doorway. You do not have to force your mind into belief. You can support your body into safety, and belief will begin to feel possible again. Not all at once, not in a dramatic flash, but in small moments that accumulate like light returning to a room. The calmer nervous system is not the end of the spiritual journey. It's the beginning of a truer one. And if you want something that really carries forward with this, the most honest kind of faith is the kind that starts by helping your body feel safe enough to be here.